This episode is proudly brought to you by Kratzmann Caravans RV Super Centre. Look, out there on the Bruce Highway at Burpengary, don't trust me. Trust every single person that's bought a Kratzmann Caravan. They're still pulling them around Australia. The best caravans in the land. Their RV Super Centre is unbelievable. They've got RVs, caravans. You just need to tell them you listen to Inside Ball and head out there to Burpengary to go and buy yourself a caravan today.
Welcome to the Inside Ball Special Edition. Our special guest today is a current player, although he's in the process of extending that career right now. He's been at a few clubs in the NRL. He's been an outstanding player for all of those clubs. Also his country. He's represented New Zealand and Samoa at World Cups. Welcome to the show, Inside Ball, Marty Taupau.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I'm going to get this right first. How do you like your name pronounced properly? What's the proper pronunciation of it?
Well, the proper pronunciation is Taupau.
Taupau.
But Marty Taupau.
Marty Taupau's fine?
Rugby league.
Okay. Right. Now, I didn't think we were ever going to cross paths in our lives. You obviously both heavily involved in rugby league. I finished playing and you basically started playing about 10 years later. So there's a fair age gap. But then I made a phone call to you about coming to the Broncos, and it was just one of those moments in life where the sliding doors, they lined up, didn't they? And we got you to the Broncos. I was so happy because we were lacking leaders, we were lacking middle forwards, professional middle forwards that were not only good on the field but off the field as well. So before we get into anything, I just want to thank you for that and my appreciation for you and your family, for that matter, of what you gave to the Broncos in your time there was really amazing, mate. And there was a moment when we met in the boardroom, you and Michelle came up, and there was a moment there, I said, you were talking to me about your preparation and your diet. And when you said, I just love eating red meat, I said, sign him now. Sign this bloke right now. It's true though, isn't it? Diet, it's a big part of why you've had such longevity in the game.
That was huge. Well, honestly, I'm grateful for you. Me and Michelle and our family are really grateful for what you've done for us, is given me the opportunity to sign with the Broncos. It was pretty crazy at the time. It was back in the end of 2022.
Yep.
And I was technically unemployed post October 30.
Yeah.
And so I was never giving up on the dream of staying in the NRL. So we constantly had to train, and it was Michelle, she had the whistle in hand and she was blowing a whistle and just saying run. So
right. This is your own personal training?
Personal training. So I was just running and training, and then we got the phone call from you, and this was in February, late February. And it's like, Marty, would you come up? And it's like, yeah. Without a heart, we jumped on that plane. We came up and...
Well, I know we hit it off straight away, and you had a wonderful career at the Broncos. Unfortunately, it ended, but you had a great career there, so I want to thank you for that. But let's go back to your childhood, mate. Oh, hang on. Let's go. 250 NRL games. If you can play one NRL game, you're doing well.
Yep.
Right, so 250 plus. I'm not sure what your numbers are now. 24 games for New Zealand, 9 games for Samoa. You had 4 clubs. You had the Bulldogs, 21 games, which I was a bit surprised. I thought you might have played a few more for the Bulldogs, because that's how I see you, of course. Anyway, you moved on to the Tigers. Then Manly was your big club, 156 there.
Yep.
That would have been good times.
Some great
We'll
memories.
get to that. Hold it, Marty. We'll get to that.
Yep.
And then, of course, the Broncos. Now, Marty Taupau. When you think of Marty Taupau, what do you think of when you think of Marty Taupau? What do you see?
Well, back in the days, I was this brutal. The best way to put it, I was an absolute prick of a human as a player.
Yeah.
But now, just looking back at
you like to get under the skin of the opposition.
I just love
being aggressive and
when I could burst onto the scene. I think it was around about 2014. I burst onto the scene, and I just love getting under the skin of these big, like Jason King, Anthony Watmo. So I was playing against Manly at the time, and I just love getting under the skin of these big boys, and just love to smash and bash.
Yeah, right. Okay. because that was a huge part of your game, your strength and your power, your running,
Yep.
right? As a kid, you come to Australia as a 10-year-old from New Zealand?
Yep.
So, with your family?
Yeah, so I came over in the year of the Olympics, so that was in 2000.
2000.
And before we came over, I thought I'll go into the library in New Zealand primary school, and I grabbed a couple of books from Australia, and all I'd seen was, the Opera House and the
Harbour Bridge,
Harbour Bridge and
Taronga Zoo.
Yep, all that sort of stuff. And I thought, okay, so when we land in Australia, I'll be living in the city, and I didn't realise what the city was. I was living in Australia, in Sydney, and looking outside my window with the Opera House out there. But no, I lived in humble Punchbowl.
Punchbowl, right? Yeah. Okay, right, and that's right in the heart of Bulldogs territory.
Yeah, it is.
Right. So who came over with you? What was your family situation?
So it was all my folks. So my family, both my parents and my siblings.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And were you excited about the move, or a bit scared, or a bit worried?
Well, I was sad because I've left all my family and friends in behind in New Zealand, and it was a new chapter for all of us.
Yeah. And so when you settled, do you remember what time of the year it was? Was it mid-year? Would you start school afresh, or
it was March. We
Right.
landed. I think it was March the 3rd, and I started. So it was a couple of weeks until I went back into school. But back then, the good old there was no remotes for TVs for us. So we get up and
change the channel.
And vinyls and all that sort of stuff. So good old days.
Right. So what do you remember about growing up in Sydney? What are some of your pleasant moments?
Mate, to be honest, I wasn't aware of what Pizza Hut was.
Right.
I didn't know what a kebab was.
Right.
I'd never stepped foot in a cinema from until the age of 10. So I didn't know what all that was. All I knew was roller skates, bike rides, and all. But when I came to Australia, it definitely opened up my eyes to a whole new, different world for me.
Right. And rugby league was always, or rugby union?
I started in rugby union. So I was this teeny tiny winger, fullback. Yeah, that was before I discovered weights. So I played rugby union, but when I came to Australia, I didn't know what rugby league was.
Right.
I just played rugby league just to make some friends.
Right. So you joined down at the local club, which was?
It was Padstow Panthers at the time, in which they folded, and then moved over to Greenacre Tigers, was literally just up the road.
And they're still around now.
They're still going strong.
Do you ever get back there and do anything for those junior? I mean, I know you do it a lot in the community, but I guess it's hard when you're in Brizzy.
Yeah, I get around in when I can down in Sydney, just to see a local park and the local football club.
Righto. So you're growing up in Punchbowl. How do the Bulldogs spot you? They got it's obviously right in Canterbury, so they obviously see you playing some schoolboy football somewhere, do they? Or
I was just playing school footy, so I was pretty fortunate with the team that I had. We were just all Pacific Islander Maori kids, so we were just playing footy, and back then we were accused of being older than what we were, and we were told we were 15. We were only playing under 10s,
right?
But we were winning competitions, and it just turned heads.
Right. So any of those other boys come through and have a career like yourself?
No, sadly not.
Okay.
Oh, well, it was one player I did play against though in the same competition was Jamal Idris.
Right.
He was a scary human back then.
Right. So you played against him in underage football.
Yeah.
Right. Jamal. Yeah, I remember Jamal. He was a big unit.
He was a
great
beast.
player too. Great player. So you got signed by the Bulldogs. How did that happen? Do you remember how that all happened?
So a player agent called Lance Thompson back in the day. Right. So he represented City Country, played for the Dragons, and Sharks. And so he looked after me coming through, and he sorted out my contract with the Bulldogs. So
you're captain there of the under-20s.
I was
in 2010.
How
was that? Do you like? I mean, you've always shown everything that I've seen. Have you always been a leader? Do you think?
Well, now I believe I am a leader, but I'm not the type of leader that likes to stand up front and beat your chest. I like to uplift everyone in and around me. So, and that's I guess that's what I did back then. It's what I saw. It's the examples that I saw in and around the Bulldogs, because the Bulldogs, what they had back then, it's not the four walls that surround the people. It's the people that surround the four walls, and from then on,
Righto. So you made your debut. You made your debut in 2010 for the Bulldogs?
2010.
So they pulled you out of 20s, basically, did they? You were playing 20s?
Yeah, I was playing 20s.
Do you remember your debut?
Not the best one. I don't want to remember that.
Do you remember who it was against?
It was against the Warriors.
It was against the Warriors. You lost, unfortunately.
We did.
At ANZ Stadium. That was your first against the Warriors, yeah.
And I got smashed. My very first hit up.
Who smashed you?
from memory, and it might not be right. It might, I believe it was Simon Mannering or Sam Rapira.
Yeah.
I remember it was.
Was it a hit up from the kickoff or just general?
It was
play?
from a hit. It was general play. So I remember there was Luke Patton's absolutely ripped into me, and Andrew Ryan. He goes, Marty, if I can get a hit up. This is after I had made 3 tackles in a row.
Right.
Get back. And
Welcome to the NRL, Marty.
So I took my hit up and I got picked up and driven into the ground, and all I heard was "Welcome to first grade." I was like, "Yep."
Welcome. So being 20 and playing in the middle of the Bulldogs pack, like that would have been a great experience, wouldn't it? Like,
it was a great experience. Yeah. Just I wasn't aware at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Is you play in and around those experienced players.
Did you have any like heroes, rugby league heroes, growing up, or who'd you look up to, sort of coming through?
Well, as I mentioned, I didn't know what rugby league was, but Ruben Wiki was one, and also Jonah Lomu was one I looked up to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, so you play 4 years for the Dogs. Desi Hasler coached there. What was Desi like?
Desi was... It was really confronting for me being a young kid, the age of 20, coming through, trying to find my feet in the world of rugby league, and Desi is just... He's a mad scientist, is what they call him.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what figures he was throwing at me, but he goes, Marty, just bloody run and do X, Y, Z. I was like, yep, I didn't know what X, Y, Z was, but just get the ball in hand and run as hard as you can.
Which you did. So when you Google your name, or some of your carries, it's not just your attack, it's also your defence. You like physical, like into blokes, and that because you used to always carry the ball in your left hand, and that right fend has got so many victims over the years. It should be registered as a lethal weapon. Like, seriously, how strong? Like you obviously like getting into the gym and lifting weights.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love lifting weights, but look, I think good old Jeffro Hardy. So he played for South back in the days, and he was my high school teacher.
Right.
And he was the one that taught me my footwork as well as my palm. So we kept working that in high school, and that just blossomed when I came into rugby league. I agree. It's more of a punch. It's lethal.
Yeah, well,
it's more of a punch than anything, but
probably can't sort of do it as much these days as
it's
you used
more
to.
Of an open fist.
Open,
it's
like,
just
good stuff, Marty. Righto. So you had a few years at the Dogs. It didn't quite work out for you there, did it? So you moved on to the Tigers?
Yeah, I did. It definitely wasn't ideal for me. I believe it was 21 games in 3 or so years. So
yeah, but you're only a young fella coming through. So
I was.
And the Bulldogs were a very strong unit at the time, weren't they? Like
it was.
Tough team to get into. There's some...
Mate, you had the likes of James Graham.
Yeah.
James Graham, Sam Cassiano, Frank Pritchard, Greg Eastwood.
Yeah.
The list goes on. It was hard to crack into that.
Yeah.
But there was one great message I got from a good trainer back at the Bulldogs. His name's Gary Carden. He goes, Marty, you're not ready. You're not ready yet. And I was like,
what do you mean I'm not ready?
I'm ready. I'm fit. I'm fast. I'm strong. I'm ready for the NRL. He goes, no, you're not ready. You give it until 23, 24, and you'll be right. I hated him at the time when he had told me that. But
you said, he basically told you you weren't good enough to play, yeah.
And until I got to the age of 23, 24, it happened.
That's normal, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mate? Let's face it. Like
that's when you mature as a front row. That's where I believe you mature as a front row. Unless you're special talent out there, like the likes of Payne Haas.
Yeah. But still, Payne Haas is still playing his best football. His best football is still in front of him.
Oh, he's still in his rookie years. But he's one of the best I've ever seen. But, yeah, like you said, he's on trajectory of greatness.
Right. Now, the Tigers... Mick Potter was your coach. You liked Mick, didn't you?
Yeah.
Why'd you like Mick?
Mate, he just he was real relaxed. He simplified everything for me.
Yeah.
And he just let me do what I wanted to do to become a better footballer. And for me, it was always lifting weights.
Right.
I love getting strong, building my foundation, being explosive, and that's what really helped me.
Yeah, because you were fast. There's a clip, and we'll get Darcy to put it up. In the New Zealand schoolboys, you played against Australia. You're the
Junior Kiwis.
Junior Kiwis. Were you the captain of that side as well?
Yes, I was.
You were, right. So you got number 10 on your back, and you didn't have your curly locks that you got now, and you ran down Dane Gagai. Dane Gagai was the fullback for the Australian schoolboys. He got an intercept on his try line. And you ran him down. And then you got up and you tried to bully him way back. So you've always been a bully, have you, Marty, or what?
A pretend bully.
A pretend bully.
A pretend bully.
Well, Well, you didn't need much pretending with me, I can tell you, because your tackle was a magnificent tackle. And you said you started in junior rugby league as an outside back. Centre.
Yeah, I was an outside back, and mate, I was skinny. I was tall and skinny until I discovered weights.
Right. So you love lifting weights. Yeah?
I love lifting weights.
Also maintaining your power and your
speed, agility, flexibility, everything. Yeah, it's all about longevity.
Longevity, mate. Well, you're still doing it now, mate, which is great. Now Mick Potter gets moved on, and Jason Taylor comes in to the Tigers. Maybe that didn't work out as quite as well. Oh no, you played 21 games that year, didn't you?
I did.
A good season. But Manly come hunting for you, did they?
They did.
How did that all happen?
Well, Daryl Mathers was my manager at the time, and Bozo,
Bob Fulton.
Bless his, Cotton Socks, Bob Fulton. I love the man. I love him, his wife, his family. And I wasn't aware at the time. It's like, oh, Marty, just come over. We'll have a meeting with this gentleman for Manly. It's like, okay, cool. Walked into his house, sat down.
Into his house?
Into his house.
Oh, that's elite. That's elite,
I didn't know what was happening. I thought, we'll just go in and have a yarn. And conversations were had, and it was like, you good to go, Marty? He was like, yep, we're good to go. I was like, it was signed and sealed then and there.
Right.
But later down, it was about 12 months later on, I had told the story to a few close family and friends, and they go, oh, do you know who Bozo is? No, I don't know. I should have Googled him.
Yeah.
And they go, mate, he's a very, very influential man.
Yeah.
And as things went on, I was like, holy shit, he is the godfather of rugby league.
Yes, mate.
And I had the privilege of sitting down, having conversations with him, but being in his house.
Yeah, in his house.
And from then on, like, we had some great yarns over the years. I'll call him up and say, mate, you ready for coffee? He just goes, yeah, I'll just walk down.
Yeah.
We'll have coffee once or twice a week.
Right.
And we'll just have a good yarn. And it was never about footy. It was always about family. And that's the one thing I appreciate. It was family first. And everything outside of rugby league, if everything is good outside of rugby league, you will flourish on the field. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I love and appreciated about Bozo.
Yeah, well, he's a great family man. He's got kids and grandkids and always been about Manly. And did you ever Google him? Because I can tell you, Bozo was a legendary player. Bozo actually revolutionised rugby league with his fitness and his training habits.
Yep.
So he would not only do what his fitness, but he'd also then go and do some sprint training, and then some movement work and weights, all this sort of stuff. He was part of that, introducing that into the game in the early 70s as a player. And then as a coach, I was very fortunate. Obviously coached Manly for a lot of years, but 2 Kangaroo tours as Bozo as the coach. And I got to know him really well. Obviously idolised him as a kid growing up because he was the man. But then to actually be coached by him and you understand the person that he is and his values, sorely missed, of course, but what a great contribution he's made to our game. And it's good reflecting on your time with Bozo, and you had a great experience, which a lot of people have. So God bless you, Boz.
Yep.
And thanks from behalf of Marty and I for helping us in our careers. Good on you, Boz. Righto, your time at Manly was good. You played 156 games. Did your signing get bungled somewhere? Did your contract get sent to was it Joe Kelly?
Yes, it did. So I was
Tell us about that.
I was over at a tour in England for the Kiwis, and we're getting my extension sorted, and I think we had to get a JP to sign it, and we got some bloke, whoever it was over in England, signed it. And he had sent it to the wrong Joe Kelly, who was the CEO at the time for Manly Seagulls. So rather than send it to the CEO of Manly, Joe Kelly, he sent it to some
theatre critic.
And then when he got his hands on it, mate, he put it on with Twitter at the time. Goes, whoever knows Marty Taupau, I've got his contract.
Can you let him know he's got a 4-year deal?
Wow, unbelievable! But mate,
talk about botched signings. Wow. Righto, so 2017, coached by Trent. How was your time with Trent? Good coach?
Loved it. Yeah. Loved it. It was probably one of my greatest times in rugby league because we had... So Baz was our coach. You had Steve Maddai. You got these legends that were still playing. Jamie Lyon, Brett Stewart.
Yeah.
These boys, they were running, and with their experience, mate, I loved it.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite Manly story you could share? Like, of all your time at Manly, is there one moment or a game or something that really sort of stands out to you?
To be honest, no. I guess one memory was against Manly.
Right.
And this was when Chocky Watmo, I believe, was still playing, Steve Meadow, Jason King, and I was just coming through as a youngster at the Tigers, and I was just told, Marty, just fucking go for them. Go for the biggest bloke and don't stop.
Right.
And we played at Leichhardt Oval, and off the kick-off, I was like, all I saw was Jamie Burra and Jason King. I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm
Let's
just going to
go.
go for it. And I got under their skin, and we won that game. It was a rainy day. It was terrible conditions. But I thought, yeah, look, I've got nothing to lose here, but I've got everything to gain.
Yeah. So I played at Leichhardt for the Broncos against the Tigers. It's quite a daunting experience for all the fans.
It is.
Did you enjoy playing?
I loved it.
Leichhardt,
the Fortress.
Yeah.
Fortress. It's like playing at Brookie.
Yeah.
Mate, you get absolutely hammered if you're the opposition. Same here when you're at Suncorp.
Yeah.
When you're the opposition, mate, you just want to pack up your bags and go home.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Where did you get your offloading from? Because that's not a skill that centres and outside backs normally possess. So, because you often led the competition with your tackle bus, which is your power game, and your offloading. Well, is that a skill that you practice, or you just naturally sort of?
I believe it was just something that just naturally came to me. Yeah, it was just with the explosive power, it's a contact, and there's always that bit of separation. I thought, why not? And I just offload the ball and regain my energy so I can go again.
Yeah. Because when you said that time from the kickoff, when you're like front rowers, for all the young kids out there that are wanting to be front rowers, it's not just a matter of getting the ball and just running hard, is it?
No.
There's a lot goes. So talk to us a little bit of detail about what you do when you're some of your best carries. What happens?
So I'll tell you, off the kickoff is my scariest run of all time. Like, I absolutely hate it with a passion. Because you think about it, you are one person when you got 10 bloody blokes in front of you ready
all trying to line you up.
So so like off the kickoff especially, and one thing I always tell my son is it's always spaces, not faces.
Right.
And that's where
that makes
smarts,
sense. Yeah.
where you use your footwork, deception, and your power all at the same time when you're running into off the kickoff, is that you make it look like you're running directly to one person.
Right. So directly at King,
at Jason
King.
And then that very last moment,
footwork.
You have to slide in between each shoulder because you're not going to expect it.
No.
And that thing, it'll sort of, in the back of their mind, I'm like, I don't know which leg they're going to step off, or don't know whether they're going to run straight. So it gets them in second guessing defensively. So for me, it's like, I've got a palm, I've got an offload, I've got footwork, or I can run straight. So I've got four cards.
You've got a lot of options that you can pull out. Okay, because you often see like your crazy men from those kickoffs, and even some of those hit-ups where the defence is just, aggressive and in your face, and you got to put your hand up and you got to do it. So, well done to you, mate. Also at Manly, you're a bit ahead of the time. You chased some professional development, didn't you, off field? Because you just didn't want to be that typical footballer who was just played his footy and then sort of his career finished, and your career's still going, obviously. But you educated yourself, didn't you, over the time?
Yeah, I did. So I did a bit of study. For mentally, obviously, and then also just do a few things just to get my body ready. So for me, it was always that element of, look after your family and yourself. You got to educate yourself and look after yourself physically. So there was a lot of things that were happening at the time where I believe it really helped flourish my career and continue it.
Right, because it wasn't always playing NRL, and there were some dark moments for you, weren't there, where you weren't getting selected and the self-doubt?
Yeah,
Did that come in?
Yeah, it was. It was definitely hard. I struggled with it earlier in my years, but...
Did you get some help for that?
Well, I was pretty fortunate with my wife, Michelle.
Right.
I just love bouncing.
Yeah.
They
say behind every great man is an even greater woman, I know that's the case.
And she really helped me with that, and she was always the reason of the reason why I'm here, I guess. I'll throw her something silly, and she goes, "No, that's not reasonable." She doesn't tell me what I should do. She will help me navigate my own thoughts to get to where I should be. And it's like, oh right, okay, thanks, hon. And it's that kind of
just that that different perspective on things.
Yeah.
Because the rugby league world, as we both know, can be very cruel. It can also be very rewarding for a lot of people, but also, very cruel. What about injury wise? Did you copped a few of those too, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Well, knock on wood, my last surgery was 2012. So,
but you eat all the red meat. That's tell me about your philosophy,
mate. Okay, so we it's a couple of years ago now. So we went and seen Dr. Paul Mason,
right?
And we did a couple of blood tests. And long story short, he came back and said, "Oh, look, I believe that you should go on this carnivore diet. All meat." I was like, "Okay." So we tried it, and I was foolishly at the time, I did it during preseason, and this is at the back end of preseason. So it was the first 6 weeks of doing this hard carnivore diet. So it's
what's for
all
breakfast?
meat.
What do you have for breakfast?
So I would have two or three sausages, 2 or 3 eggs, half a steak. That would be for breakfast, and then you'll double that for lunch,
and then
you have that again for dinner.
Right.
So it's all no carbs, no greens at the time.
No greens.
I call that decorations. You just, red, green, yellow, whatever you want to have. That's just decorations for me. It was all a protein. Just
right. Chicken.
Yep, chicken, fish. Anything.
So there's plenty of options if you want to be. But you said that it helps your joints, doesn't it?
Oh, massively. So it helped with inflammation and also with recovery, post-game, post-activity, post-anything. My cognitive state was sharper, clearer in the way that I think.
Yep.
So it would help with decision-making.
Yeah. One of the things that not surprised me but sort of reinforced with me when we got you to the Broncos was your off-field habits and how your professionalism around your preparation, which I think, I know it rubbed off on a lot of the other younger, particularly the middle forwards and the Polynesian forwards that look up to you. But because rugby league, it's not easy, is it? It's a tough game. It's a tough sport.
It's tough, and I would say it's easily the toughest sport in the world. We got no padding. In NFL, they got helmets, and we got no padding, and you literally have to be the strongest man on the field, the smartest man on the field under fatigue, and you also have to be a marathon runner, an Ironman. So in all of that in one person, and it's hard, it's brutal, getting bashed week in, week out, whether at training or on the pitch, and then you've got the stress of life as well. So
do you feel that as young players coming into squads, into the NRL, do you feel there's enough information and about their, not just their training, their off-field, their diet? I mean, I know a lot of the clubs do a great job, but if you knew now as a player, back when you first came in, I guess it's all experience, so isn't it? And learning,
it's all experience.
Because not everything suits everyone, does it?
No, what's not a one size fits all, and we've all experienced that. I reckon there's an information overload. There's too much information.
Right.
And with all these kids, you've got TikTok and whatever that stuff is,
YouTube
social media.
And all that stuff, yeah.
So they've got too much information.
What's that one? Is it TikTok?
TikTok. I don't know what that is.
Oh, geez. Right, so, do you think sometimes there's too much information?
Yeah, I believe there's too much information. And this generation, they don't know how to process it. Look, some could, but there's a lot of young aspiring athletes that don't know how to create a system that works for them.
Yeah. Okay. So you finish this part of your career at the Broncos, right? What was your first thoughts and ideas and feelings when you first walked through the Broncos? I mean, you've seen the club from afar.
Yep.
And liked it, disliked it, thought this, thought that. But actually being inside the club, what did you think? Wow, this is great, or these blokes, they're kidding, What was your thoughts?
Well, I honestly thought I hit the jackpot.
Right.
I honestly could not believe the people, the facilities, everything. I wasn't...
Because you come from Manly and training out of a tin hut, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'm being serious.
We were demountables.
Demountables.
We were demountables then, and they were creating dressing sheds when I was just leaving there. So it was nice, and we thought we were really grateful that was happening. But when I came here to the Broncos, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
this is a multi-million-dollar facility, and literally had everything under the roof.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, so you got your weights room, sauna, spa. Recovery rooms.
You open up the door and you just take 2 steps and you're out on the pitch.
Yeah.
Mate, you got the weather. You can't beat it. You had great players. Like the playing group it made it so much easier.
What about Suncorp, mate? Do you like playing at Suncorp?
Oh, mate, it's the best stadium I've ever played at.
Yeah, really, huh?
The best stadium. In 2023, we averaged about 40,000
Yeah, it was crazy.
fans. And that's normal.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, you do take it, not for granted, but in your stride, I suppose, because I've always been a Bronco, and I've spent some time. I started my career at the Raiders and also spent some time in Melbourne and also at Newcastle in different coaching roles. So it's certainly well positioned to do well here.
Yeah.
But it's about getting the right people and the right opportunities. Righto, so that's your Bronx. In 2011, you played for New South Wales residents against Queensland.
Yes,
Could you have played for New South Wales, State of Origin?
Yes.
Did you want to? How did you feel? Would you have played?
Of course, I would have played.
Right.
I contemplated that for years on what's the process to change my allegiance to, well, obviously Australia to be eligible to play for New South Wales, but
you captained the junior Kiwis.
yes, I did. I wasn't aware of the time.
Sean Johnson was in your side.
Yes, we had Jason Tomalolo.
Wow.
We had some great players.
So did you beat Australia in that game? Do you
We
remember?
beat them at that. So I'll tell you a funny story about that game. So it was the birth of my daughter. So I had to fly back the day before, and it was late night, after 12 o'clock in the morning. And I gave birth and literally had no sleep. I had to go get my bags, go to the airport. I took 2 flights and one bus, literally jumped off the bus, got in a dressing shed.
Played the game.
Yep. And
Wow.
this was no sleep. It was full adrenaline. And we were down. I think we were losing 20-odd points or something like that.
Because that would have been a bit of a rarity, wouldn't it? The junior Kiwis beating the Kangaroos.
Kangaroos, yeah. It was a rarity.
Right, so that great start to your international career because you played for 2 countries. You're Samoan born.
Yep.
But you
No,
heritage,
New Zealand
born, Samoan heritage, but you played for New Zealand first, didn't you?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I did.
So that must have been a great experience for you as well.
Oh,
Do you remember your first test match?
Yes, I did. I believe there was 5 debutants, and I was one of the debutants, and we played against Australia, the Kangaroos. This is the old Allianz Stadium in Sydney, and this was the mid-year test. So we were 5 rookies, right? And we were playing up against your Cameron Smith, your Billy Slater, Sam Thaidays, Cooper Cronks. We were in disbelief, but in that camp at that time, there was something boiling, and we knew that we were going to beat them. Unfortunately, we didn't get them at that time, but later on in the year, funny enough, Suncorp Stadium,
yes,
we got them.
Okay. 2013, Samoa against Tonga. You lost that game, 36-4. Do you remember much about that one?
Yeah, no.
Well, let's move on then. Okay. That was the Pacifica Rugby League Championship at Penrith Stadium. Let's go. Keep moving forward. You mentioned your New Zealand debut. Steve Kearney, he coached you. How'd you find Steve? Lovely bloke.
Love Mooksy.
Yeah.
It's all about energy, positive energy. I loved it. I was all for it. And we had some great success for that.
Well, that was the Four Nations tournament as well, which you beat Australia in Wellington.
Yes,
That's
we
the game
did.
you're talking about. What do you remember about that one?
Well, I had a lot of coffees.
Right.
A lot of caffeine. I was just high on life, the excitement, everything. And, mate, it was always daunting playing against Australia.
Yeah.
Because I looked at them and was like, these are men. These are legends.
Yeah.
And every time we play against him, I was like, okay, I'm ready to bash him. And it was, one of the greatest games. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, right. Jesse Bromwich actually gave you a big rap after that game. You must have come off the bench, and he said you helped lift them with their intensity and swing the momentum of the game to the Kiwis. So
Impact.
Good job. Impact, Marty. Good job, mate. Righto, that's 2013-14. Here we go. This one I want to talk about. 2015. The match, the Anzac Test, right? Came off the bench again. Still ran the most metres for New Zealand, by the way.
Wow.
Now, this was the incident with Sammy Thought. What did Sammy do to you in that tackle? What did he do to make you... I mean, what's that mean, Marty?
Bloody Sammy Thaiday. I was telling him, mate, I'll get a haircut afterwards. Mate, he tackled me.
Right.
And in the process of tackling me, he got a hold of
So you had the locks then? You had
of my locks and just ripped it from my scalp. And I just said to him, mate, I'll get done afterwards. It was one of the...
You were fired up, mate.
Oh, I was ready. I was ready finish it in the car park.
Yeah.
But,
What about the Haka? How good is that for you guys?
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I love doing the Haka.
So you spend a lot of time working on it, though, don't you? It's not
Yep.
just on game day where you roll it out, because there's so many different Hakas, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a fair few Hakas out there, but there's two. Most of them, the Kamate is the one that most people know. But people that don't actually know the Haka, they think it's just all actions and we're just shouting at people and trying to scare them, intimidate them. But
well, I can tell you that's what it felt like for me when I faced the Haka.
But when you do it, you can actually feel it from the ground up. It comes through from the ground, and it gives you that sort of big stature when you're up against the opposition, and for that, mate, you feel like you're 10 times bigger than the opposition.
It just gives you energy, doesn't it? Yeah.
And you're just ready to roll.
And are there certain rules? There are certain rules in the game, aren't there, with the opposition? They're not allowed to encroach, because you get right up in their faces.
Yeah. There's a certain rules and
respect.
Yeah,
thing.
The one thing is that you don't laugh. If you laugh, mate, we're throwing punches.
Yeah,
you're not going to deal with us. You got to deal with the rest of everyone else.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, and that's normal. That's the Haka's done. Before the game, a lot of practice goes into it, but then you all just seem to come together and just get this energy and this about the game. It's actually quite daunting watching it. A lot of players think, but I can tell you, mate, it's pretty frightening.
It is frightening. I've stood on the other side of the Haka, and it is pretty scary.
Yeah, wow, how good. And that must be a great feeling with the, New Zealand jersey on before the game. That must be...
Yeah, you just feel pumped up. That feeling of pride as well. And then when you're doing the Haka in that black jersey, you can actually feel it.
Righto. 2017 World Cup, you're part of that for the New Zealand squad, New Zealand team. And then 2018, the New Zealand tour of Great Britain. How good is it touring with your country? So it's beautiful, isn't it?
I love
magic.
I love it. It was great fun. It was some great memories traveling over the UK. And I've done a fair few tours over there with the Kiwis, and we've had some great games. And playing at stadiums like Anfield.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, you can't.
You played at Wembley? I
believe I played at Wembley.
Yeah.
You just can't beat it. You can't beat stadiums there.
And there's some great. The crowd over there, they just make so much noise. It's different, isn't it?
They got some great chants. They got some great chants out there.
Well, you would have been a crowd favourite over there because
I hope so.
Well, you would have been, mate, because they just love the bad boy sort of. Not that you're a bad boy, but the bad boy tough, sort of bully image. Like they would have probably tried to have a go at you, two make up a song about you. So that's awesome. And then the 2022 World Cup, you played for Samoa. That would have been so good going back to your heritage, mate.
That was one of my greatest international memories because me being as a player, but then also having my wife, she was operations and logistics manager. So she was literally helping with everything: team buses, team lunches, hotels, accommodation.
For all the teams or just Samoa?
Just for Samoa.
Yeah.
So, and it was for us giving back to Samoa, giving back to rugby league, and showing everyone that's involved with rugby league, internally and externally, of how things should be done so we can create a bigger future for Samoa. And, mate, we absolutely loved it. And the success that we had, even though we didn't win the competition.
You got hammered in game one by England, didn't you? And
everyone wrote us off,
Everyone wrote you off. And we had Milf on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that really galvanised the team. Like, you stuck together. He said, well, boys, we're over here. We might as well make something of this, and you really started to bond. Mate,
it was crazy. And we seen the amount of support, love and support we had globally.
Yeah.
We even got a good luck message from The Rock, mate.
Yeah.
No one better.
Do you know The Rock?
No, I wish.
Have you ever met him?
I'll say we're related somehow.
Yeah, you're related.
Somehow.
You must be, mate, Samoan, you get it through. So you beat England in the semi-final, don't you? That must have been very sweet.
It was one of those bittersweet moments beating England.
Talk to me about Stephen Crichton as a captain. Is he? What do you think about him? He's obviously got really good leadership skills as well as a person. Yeah.
Well, he's got. Yeah, I believe he's learnt that from Penrith and over the course of the years of playing in some great teams and learning off some great players, and what he's doing at the Bulldogs, mate, second to none as a great leader.
Have you still got a soft spot for the Bulldogs?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
And all the teams that you played for?
Yep. Manly, like I watch all them teams over the weekend. Yeah.
So cool. Good on you, mate. That's been a real club person. That's who you are. Part of why we got you to the Broncos, you know. So the final was a bit disappointing. They won at Old Trafford.
Yeah, it was. It was a big build-up, but, you know, things just didn't go our way.
The Aussies had a pretty crack side too, didn't they?
They did. But for us, the success was we got to the finals. We beat England.
Well, yeah, well, everyone thought that.
It's never happened before.
No. When you got bumped in round 1 by England, everyone thought your tournament was over, but you came back and you had some great wins.
Yep.
And then got to the final. So, well done. And I think Milk might have said this as well. Was it the manager or the team sponsor came in and said and kept doubling your money and stuff?
Yeah, so it was all about the allowance.
Yeah, the allowance. That's right.
The allowance. So one of the sponsors came in and was like, "Oh, if you guys win this, we'll double the allowance." It's like, mate, we're ripping you in then.
Of course, you would have been. Like, there's so many players now in the NRL with Samoan heritage, isn't there?
That's
that
huge.
must make you, because you were one of the early ones, weren't you?
Yeah.
Just like to represent Samoa and
Yep.
come to Australia and do what you did in rugby league. You sort of showed a lot of those kids now that are coming through the way to do it, didn't you? So you must.
Well, it is like
make you
for
feel
me.
proud.
Making the change from playing for the Kiwis to go and play for Samoa, it was always about giving back and not being afraid to say no to money, but play for your heritage. Money will come sooner
Yeah.
or later. You'll get rewarded somehow, but it's always taking that scary step towards the unknown. And for me, it was when you play for the Kiwis or Australia, you get paid pretty well.
Good money, yeah.
But when you play players like your Tonga or Samoa or Fiji, you don't get paid that well. But the reward from the love and support from your community, your ancestors, your grandparents, mate, they're going to be super proud of you.
Yeah.
And now it's slowly turning. The game is more than 50% Pacific and Indigenous.
Yeah.
So
when you make that decision to switch from New Zealand to Samoa, is that your decision, or does someone try and drag you back into the Samoan?
No, it was like me and my wife Michelle. We just thought, look, I think it's time to make a
back.
change. Yeah, it's time to give back and do what's great for the next generation of Pacific Islanders.
Yeah, what must have been a great moment for you, mate. So well done to that. A couple of quick ones now before we get into your post-career, right? You played alongside some great players and great teams. Have you got a favourite teammate over the time, or someone that you really love sort of playing with?
Oh, look, there's a fair few. There's like a couple.
Well,
like,
give me a few.
The recent ones, like, look at our Broncos team.
Yeah.
Paddy Carrigan, Walshy, Payne Haas,
Yep.
Katoni, one of the biggest characters. He's
funny.
I love him. One of the other ones was, I don't know if you remember George Safua.
Yeah.
He was the hitman.
Yeah.
You do not run at him.
No.
And I believe that he sort of learnt off Steve Maddai.
Yeah. So did you play with Steve? You played with Steve Maddai?
I played with Steve Maddai.
He must have been great to play with, like some of the tackles that he pulled.
Oh,
man.
Mate, whenever you needed someone to roll up the sleeves, it's not the biggest bloke, it's Steve Maddai.
Yeah, right.
Him and George Safua, mate, they're highlight reels of hurting people.
Yeah, George used to fly in too, didn't
Yeah.
he? Did they play beside it? Did they centre wing, or were they on opposite sides?
I
Bit of
believe,
both.
yeah, a bit of both.
Bit of both, yeah, crikey, eh? So those two. What about some of your toughest opponents over the time? Who have they sort of been?
Oh, toughest opponents. Look, Jason Tamalolo in his prime. He was hard to handle.
Oh, man,
He was. But my good old mate, Jared Warrior-Hargraves.
Oh, Jared, you head.
I love him. Love him.
He's
We used to laugh at each other. We used to go head to head. When I played for Manly, it's always at the Trooks at the old Allianz
Yeah, because
Stadium.
he started his career at Manly,
At
didn't
Manly, yeah.
Right.
And we used to go, oh, come on. And afterwards, it was good fun. It's
how
good
much
fun.
eh?
Yeah.
You blokes are crazy. Righto. What about your favourite stadium? Would be Suncorp to play at, would it?
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Suncorp.
Yep. And one of your favourite footy memories, what would that be? Or a couple of those over your distinguished career?
Oh, there's... I can't really put a finger on it. There's a lot.
New Zealand, Samoa.
Yeah, New Zealand.
All the
World
clubs that you
Cup.
played for, the World Cup,
Yeah, Samoa. There's a few nail biters with Manly. There's some great memories with the Bronx as well. Just love it.
Good stuff, mate. Righto. Now, your connection to Samoa, how does that all work?
So both my parents are Samoan. So they're born in Samoa, but they migrated over to
New Zealand. So you're born in Auckland?
Yep, born in South Auckland.
Right. And we've spoken about how much that means for you and your family playing for Samoa. They must get great joy out of watching you play, hey?
Oh, huge!
Or had great joy,
the look I saw on my father when we came back from the tour, he was just in awe. He was so proud, and he knew that his family back in Samoa was super proud. And that's the one thing I was forever grateful is being given the opportunity to represent Samoa. And with Samoa as well, me and my wife got married in Samoa.
You got married in Samoa, yeah. Whereabouts? What?
So it's we got married at Taumisina Island Resort.
Right.
And funny thing is, Michelle walked down the aisle, beautiful blue skies. Within the 10 minutes, it was like cyclone bloody.
Because that can happen in Samoa, hey?
Yeah.
Weather can change very quickly.
So as she was walking down, I was like, honey, you look beautiful. He goes, oh, what beautiful. I'm picking up my... She picked up her dress. She took off. She wasn't running away from me, though. No, it was the weather.
The weather.
But then Taumisina, they turned it around really quickly. In the reception, it looked like a beautiful church altar. So she got to walk down the aisle twice.
Yeah. Into your beautiful arms, mate. How good. She must pinch herself every day, mate. She must pinch herself every day, a bit like Narelle for me. Righto. Now, in 2024, you became an official Samoan chief. What does that mean, Marty? Explain to us what that means.
So I was bestowed a title. So my chief title is Taupau. So when I go back to Samoa or when Samoa elders address me, they address me by my chief title name. And for that, I represent my family, so our small family, as well as my extended family. So when there are big decisions that need to be made or any contributions back in Samoa or wherever it is, whether it's funerals, birthdays, weddings, so on and so forth, we have to make a contribution on behalf of my chief name and my family.
Okay.
So,
mate, you must feel really proud about that as well. I know you went back to Samoa to receive. What is there? There's a ceremony, isn't there?
There was a huge ceremony. There was a couple of hundred people that was also getting their title and representing their families there.
Right.
But it was literally the whole village coming together and in celebration of that. So I was proud. My father was proud as well. So.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Right. And then also you and Michelle, there was a measles epidemic in Samoa, and you and Michelle went back and helped out. I think there was 2,400 cases recorded and 32 deaths. That's horrible, mate.
It was really, really sad. And we thought, this was in the back end of the year, and we thought, why not do something to give back to the families that were affected? And obviously we couldn't do anything medically because we're not professionals in that domain, but we thought, why not get as much charity, like toys, charitable toys and all that for the kids and families that are affected. So we did that, and we did that together with Tofinga Fipuliai. So he's a Kiwi comedian. He's one of the best.
Right.
And also we had the legend, the All Blacks legend, Martin Onu, come along with us. So we did that in partner with Taumisina and Samoa Tourism just to give back to the communities, and it was heartwarming. It was beautiful what we did, and we absolutely loved it. And just to see the smiles, bring some joy, a little bit of joy back to those families that were affected by the measles.
Yeah, good job, mate. Well done. That's the sort of people that you guys are. Just lovely stuff, mate. Unbelievable. Right. What about the future now? What's happening, mate? What are you going to be up to? What are you doing?
Well, obviously, I'm not done. I'm not retiring.
No.
I'm still doing what I need to do and keeping my body in good nick and ready. So obviously the dream is to land a NRL opportunity.
Contract. Yep.
So in the meantime, my agent is still working through a couple of teams. So I'm definitely not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm staying put here and keep playing, keep training.
Yeah.
And then. Hopefully we'll land an NRL contract soon.
Well, you're doing some good stuff off field as well, you and your wife Michelle, aren't you? So I went to a function the other night with you guys. You've got this a diary out, which I know you're very well planned and which is great. I think the diary is a fantastic idea. It's not just well, tell us about the diary.
Well, we love it. So we've got our yearly planner, which is a data page, and this is backed by science. So it's got NLP practices. So Michelle, she's a life coach.
Right.
And I guess this has all started with, this was a drive coming from Sydney back to Brisbane. And Michelle was saying, oh, you know, there's nothing else like it out there. And I said, well, just create it yourself. Just do it yourself. She goes, oh, well, why not? So we were having that conversation. And then she goes, what am I going to call it? It's like, well, I don't know. She goes, well, she kept going on. It's not, honey, it's not stationary. I was like, well, there's your name. It's not stationary. So that's how the name's landed. So, but
Right.
it's a yearly planner. It's got all your budget trackers. It's got your life tracker. So it's got everything that you
Well,
need.
it's got goal setting in there as well.
Goal
which
setting,
You're
so
a
it's
big.
got-
You're big on that, aren't you? Goal setting.
Values is the big thing for me. So at the start of it, it gives you clarity on what your values are as a person.
Yep.
And for that's helped for me. It's got a clarity piece which gives you a bit of clarity on what you want to achieve in that year. And there's some great prompts in that. And then we've also created a 12-week undated planner, which it's not built for athletes, but a lot of the Broncos boys use it, which is really, really good. And,
Yeah.
it's awesome product.
Good stuff, mate. Now, what about disruptors? What's happening there? Talk to us about that.
Well, Disruptors is it's pretty cool. So this is all along with consulting work. So
Yeah.
Michelle, she does a lot of consulting with a lot of different businesses. So one of the cool ones is the Sydney Kings with Luke Longley and the team down there. So it's pretty cool. We've done some really cool work
So,
down
like
there.
player sort of management stuff, or is it more?
No, it's all about sort of working on people and culture. And
Right.
So
Helping them be better people, which helps the culture of the club.
the club help them be successful, and there's a few other programs that helping them as well. So doing that alongside with Dean Witters. I don't know if you remember Dean.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So like move on with that. We've got some consulting and then a speakers bureau. So
Right.
I'm one of the speakers as well. We've got Dean Witters. We've got David Mead as well.
Yeah, meaty, cool.
And we've got a few other people that are awesome.
All good people, mate. Now, and also you've got a little. I'm going to say, is it a? It's like a game, isn't it? Tiny moments, big impact.
Well,
I like that saying because I don't know who thought of it, you or Michelle, or where you got it from, but so many times in life there's little moments that have big impacts, isn't it? You know,
it is.
and I don't have to look too far, but myself for little moments in life that have had huge impacts, on my life. So, and this is like a game that you play with your partner. Is that right?
Well, you could call it a game. These are conversational cards.
Conversation. It's not a game.
No.
It's about.
But you can turn it
It's
into
about connecting people.
It is, and it's all about creating conversations and having building a stronger connection with either yourself or a significant other, whether it's a friend,
Your son, your daughter,
anyone,
your uncle,
your spouse,
your aunt.
and it asks some really deep questions, but questions that you don't normally ask. Rather than have a normal yarn, how's the weather? You're asking some really, really deep, meaningful questions that builds a stronger connection, which is, funny enough, like I've had some tiny moments which turn into a...
Well, you have, mate. We won't go there today, Marty. But, that connection piece, and that was, I think, rugby league clubs, the better they are connected, the better they perform. You would know that from your playing career so far, and the teams that you played in, the successful teams and the not so successful, the successful ones are connected, aren't they? They
Exactly.
they have a body, they have a soul together, and without getting too deep on things, it's just that's the way of life, isn't it?
It is, and it all comes down to communication.
Yeah.
Being able to communicate, that's where you build stronger connections. And communication, it may be tough for some people. You may have people call it tough conversations. Me and my wife, we call it necessary conversations.
Necessary, that's
so
a
you got to
better word.
have necessary conversations, and it may be unpleasant for a few people, but
Yep.
when you're done having those conversations, it builds some sort of connection.
Yeah.
Like when you lose your job or when something doesn't go well for you, you reflect back and you realize, okay, this worked, this didn't work, and that's the sort of stuff that happens here. Is tiny moments but big
moments.
impact. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So when you finish playing, this is obviously your pathway forward after, or do you want to? What are you going to do when you actually finish playing? When you're fully retired?
So we've got not stationary, which is doing well, and disruptors, but we'll be rolling in a few programs into schools. Sharing my experience, whether it's resilience, and also just marrying what I've learned in my time, in my generation, and helping the generation that's coming through now on awareness, being self-aware, awareness of, with social media.
Yeah.
With what happened with me is, one small action can turn into something really, really big. And that's the one thing that will roll into the schools, obviously up here in Queensland, in Brisbane, is that just sharing my experience of being self-aware, resilience, being able to communicate to people, how to communicate, all those sort of things.
Yeah, there's lots of dangers out there now, isn't there, for professional, particularly rugby league people, sports people.
Yep.
The internet and social media, because everyone's got an opinion now. I know as a coach, when the team's not going so well, there's a lot of experts out there, which is sometimes good, but also sometimes bad for your mental health, isn't it? Without getting too deep in there. So you've got all these experiences that you can share to the next generation, which I think is amazing. That's how you see it?
Yep, and that's the sort of thing, like, I just want to just give them, whether it's one or two pointers that will prompt them to become better, or create some sort of system to safeguard them from certain things that might not work.
Okay. Two questions to go. First one is we're sponsored. Our sponsor loves travelling, obviously, Kratzmann Caravans. So where's your favourite travel destination? It could be anywhere in the world. You're probably going to say Samoa.
Well, my favourite holiday destination was our honeymoon. We went to Vietnam.
Really?
It was by far the best thing ever. Servers, people, and the food. You can't beat the food.
It's got to be the food with Marty.
Can't beat the food.
The carnivore. Would you eat rice over there? You don't no rice?
Mate, I've got to live a little, right? So eat anything and everything over there.
Righto, mate. That's cool. Righto. So the second question I want to ask you is your hair, right? You've had some different styles.
Yep.
I can't do much with mine, right? But you've had some different styles over the time. How much time goes into like braiding your hair and stuff? Like, do you do it before every game or every day? What's your policy,
look, I don't do it obviously, but my awesome hairdresser's been doing it for a couple of years now. Her name's Michelle, my wife.
But that must take hours, mate.
No, it only takes an hour.
Wow.
Sit down, we have a yarn.
Every game.
Every game.
Match day.
Every game has to be done.
Right.
But she does a great job.
And how long have you been doing? Well, since when was your last time you sort of had no hair? Can you remember?
Okay. Well, so I've been growing this since 2010.
Right.
So that's
I've
all I
seen
know.
you with it out, mate. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy hair, isn't it?
Big. I don't know if you know Maui from Moana.
Yeah.
The cartoon. Yeah.
It gets out to there, right?
It gets out. Right. Yeah, I love it.
And the reason why you braid it, because it's obviously easier to play with, and people can't grab it and pull it and.
Aside from Sam Thido, he can grab it.
Yeah, okay, mate. That's good. I love your hair. I love you as a fella, mate. You and your family.
Mate.
Brilliant. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We normally give our guests a shirt, but because you're so bloody big, we don't have a shirt big enough. But I'm going to take you to lunch at the Caxton, you and your beautiful wife, in the near future, and I'll shout you a steak, mate.
Legend.
I'm assuming you're going to have a steak.
Yeah, of course, mate. Of course.
There we go. There's
Thanks,
Marty
guys.
Taupau.
Thanks for having me.
On the inside ball.
Yeah.